Hi guys, my name is Christine and today I'm here to tell you the story of the Pretty Blog. It's going to be a very informal talk. I'm just going to take you guys through our story and where it all started and where we are at. So please feel free to stop me if you guys have any questions. If something doesn't make sense, please stop me. So the story of the Pretty Blog started way before the launch of the site. About 2 years before the Pretty Blog started, I just started my career as a wedding photographer. I also studied here at Stellenbosch. I think it was about 11 years ago, so it's very weird to be back here. And in 2007, 2008, I was shooting weddings and I realized that a lot of brides were coming to me for consultations and they were going through my wedding albums, looking at photographs like these, and they were sitting there for about 2 hours, which I hoped would be a 15-minute discussion of whether they wanted to book me or not. And they would end up paging through my albums, looking at images of brides and decor and all the color themes that everyone was using for their weddings. And I found that they weren't really there to book me as their photographer. They were probably considering me, but they were actually there to look at all of this as inspiration. And they took all these images and the bride and their bridesmaids or the mom would sit there and they would discuss everything but the photography. They were so excited about the flowers and the venues, and then they're all like, oh, where's this? And I actually want to talk about my packages, you know, and whether you want to book me, but then they would ask me about where's the location, where did the bride get this dress? And that made me think about, where do brides get their inspiration? Where do brides go if they plan their wedding? Because every girl dreams of that day that Prince Charming asked her to marry him, and then what happens then? It's kind of like this weird moment where girls go, okay, what do I do? So the first thing they probably do is they run off to the shop and they buy a wedding magazine. But as we know, most wedding magazines are filled with advertisements and very, very little real inspiration. And I think what happened in those consultations, I realized that brides were inspired by the realness of these stories. They were inspired by the real wedding dresses, the real girls. It wasn't a supermodel showing off the most fancy dress that was designed in Paris. It was a real designer from Cape Town. It was a real girl. And I think that was probably the moment where I realized that there's not enough inspiration out there for brides. And I started researching. I went to magazines and I saw that they showcased all the same service providers. It was all the same high-end service providers, and they weren't showcasing the newer people entering the market. And on the other hand, there were all these wedding directories online. Now, guys, just remember, this was before Facebook, before Twitter, before Pinterest, before Instagram. That did not exist, okay? So imagine, like 10 years ago, magazines, and then your old school like wedding directories. Like imagine the yellow pages for wedding service providers. It was just a list of photographers with their websites, and that was it. And half of the websites were very, very unupdated. They were probably like 5 years back of like those very traditional wedding photos that your parents have. Okay, and at that same time, I met a friend. Her name's Nicola, and it's actually her and her husband in the photos there. We met, we started chatting, and they got engaged, and she asked me to photograph her wedding. And through the process of her planning a wedding and me knowing that I was going to photograph this wedding, I knew that I wanted to make it as special as possible for her and refer her to the right service providers. So I gave her a list of people that I felt would be the best people for her, but also referred her to online inspiration. So these were international wedding blogs. At that stage there was nothing in South Africa, as I mentioned, only wedding directories and magazines. And Nicola fell in love with all these international wedding blogs that I sent her to. And her husband came to me. He's actually an internet service provider. Most of you guys know Wish here in Stellenbosch. And he said to me, Christine, you've created a monster. I come home and every day she tells me there's something wrong with the internet. And I realized she's just using all the cap. There's like every day she just looks at all these thousands and thousands of weddings. Okay. Now also remember, there was nothing in South Africa and there was no Pinterest. So Nicola was going through all these websites and then she was downloading these photographs and saving them in folders because there was nothing like Pinterest. So firstly, Nicola fell in love with these wedding blogs, and I said to her, you know, there's nothing like this in South Africa. So Nicola and I decided to channel her passion for weddings. Even after the wedding, she was still hooked on these sites. So we decided to channel that passion she had and the understanding that I had and my network of the wedding industry and put it together. And it basically started with us two. So it was two of us, Nicola there on my left, your right probably. Nicola's background, just to give you guys some information, is she was a qualified chef at that stage. She was the food assistant for Roy Rooster magazine. And she's a very stylish lady. She knows about fashion, she knows about styling. And with my background in the wedding industry, I knew that this would be a winning combination. So at that stage, I was shooting about 30 to 40 weddings a year, which kept me very busy. And I said to Nicola, you know what, I have this dream and I know you're the perfect partner for me. Would you mind starting this with me? And at that stage, Nicola just quit her job at Roy Rooster and she decided to become a student again. So she came back to the university and studied, and we started the blog as a part-time thing on the side, as a kind of a hobby to see if this will work. So the Pretty blog started with a very, very simple idea of showcasing South African real weddings, making sure that we inspire brides to get together or put together their own special day and make it the prettiest day of their life, and to connect them to the right service providers in the industry, and in the same time encourage entrepreneurship in South Africa. Because remember, if there's a platform, if any company creates a platform for other guys, then you actually bringing up the whole industry's quality. So we saw that in the past 2-3 years. There were probably 3-5 stationers or 3-5 great florists out there. But now with the Pretty blog, and as we're putting out new trends out there and new inspiration, we are encouraging other guys that love creating beautiful things to start their own businesses. So essentially, we're not just putting out beautiful pictures out there. You know, a lot of guys look at our website and they go, oh, it's just pretty pictures. What do they do? No, we're actually really encouraging the whole industry to become better. And this was version 1.0. It was very busy if I look at it now. But just to take you guys through the thought process of what we decided to put out there, we wanted to create a very simple blog. It was created on WordPress, for those of you guys who are in web development. I studied web design, or I studied graphic design. My husband here in the front owns a web development company. And together we understood the importance of visual communication. So we wanted to make sure that whatever we put out there was going to communicate to the people. So we wanted to introduce them to new companies, as you can see on the sponsorship side. Oh wait, I've got something very fancy here, apparently. Wow. There. Sponsorship, because in some way we had to pay the bills. And we were probably selling that for like 50 Rand a month or something. And then here we've got all the articles, and then we had our Twitter feed, etc. But it was very busy if I look at it now. But we wanted to test it. We didn't want to put a lot of money out there. We just wanted to start it. And then I think a year from there, we revisited the site design, and we decided to take away that side banner there, bring everything to the right there, and make the images bigger. So that was version 1.5. But why did we just choose the name The Pretty blog? I'm a very big dreamer, and I always wanted to create something bigger than weddings. So I realized that if we are showcasing weddings, which was like the ultimate beautiful tables with decor and everything, why couldn't we inspire people how to do their Christmas table or how to do a baby shower? So we always kept the name not like directly saying weddings in there, because we wanted to do more. And it was not just pretty. As I mentioned, guys, I was shooting 30 to 40 weddings at that stage. Nicola was coming back. She studied a BA course, and half of our blog posts were uploaded in Umarga. So Nicola didn't have a laptop at that stage, and Ian and I were building a business in a garage. He's the web development company and my photography company. So we were sitting up, I think it was about 4 or 5 people in a single garage, back to back. So imagine a single garage. There was like tables on that side and tables on that side, and if you fit in all the chairs in the middle, our backs were onto each other. So if the person at the back of the garage wanted to go to the toilet, everyone had to stand up, and then that would work out, and then we'll sit again. So that is how it starts, and that is how startups work. It doesn't start with a pretty office, perfect, great internet, beautiful income. That is not how it started for us. But one lesson we really learned through all of this was that you have to use what you have. And what we had was, between me and Nicola, we had a lot of experience in editorial with my photography and Nicola's background in magazines. I already had a network within the wedding industry, which we could tap into. And I already knew how to use social media. So at that stage, Facebook just started popping up, Twitter started popping up, and I saw the benefit in my business. So we decided to tap into a social media strategy because we really didn't have any money. As far as I can remember, I think we started the pre-blog with 20,000 Rand, which all went to the design, web development, getting some business cards printed, and I think buying one laptop or iPad or something, and that was it. Like, that is how the pre-blog started. What we realized through starting to create content and putting content out there for brides as well as service providers, we realized that business is always about exchange. You cannot expect someone to give you something, but you don't give something in return. So if you think about the idea that we pay with money, you're basically exchanging what we call cash for something else, whether that's bread or whether that is for your internet or for your cell phone, unit exchanging basically. And what we realized is we didn't have cash, so we couldn't exchange that. But what we did have is we did have a platform, and we had the trust of a lot of service providers with my network, and we decided to build something that hopefully they would trust. So now it's going to be kind of a chicken-egg situation, because you want to go to service providers and say, guys, we need you to create beautiful content, because between Nicola and myself, we couldn't do everything. We needed wedding photographers to submit their weddings that we could showcase it. I didn't want the pre-blog to be about my photography. Yes, I did add some photographs to the site, but also wanted it to be about other guys, other florists, other venues, etc. So we went out there and we basically did an exchange with a lot of the service providers that we trusted. And we said, guys, we want to showcase your work, put it on the pretty blog. Hopefully within a few months we'll get some traction. Please trust us with this, and as we build our brand, we'll stay loyal to you to showcase your work and give you guys exposure through all of that. But remember, when you build a business, if you would like that exchange to take place, whether it's going to be cash or not, you need to build something of value. And we realized building something of value, we could only give them the best, and that's why I chose the prawns there. So we had to look at our reader. We had to look at the person that was going to come to the pretty blog. And that was going to be mainly the reader. Without the readers, there wasn't going to be any pretty blog. So we decided to curate all our advertising as well as the other content that we were showcasing. We didn't want to put substandard things on the pretty blog. We wanted to make sure that everything we show them, they are going to absolutely fall in love with it. And it doesn't mean only high-end service providers or high-end weddings. It can be lower end, mid end, high end, but in terms of the photography, that is what we were looking at. We wanted to have great photography. And it was a very difficult decision. It's not the best financial decision to go out and get 20 service providers mailing you after they realize there's now something like the pretty blog, and they all want to pay you to advertise on you. And then you tell 8 of them, no, sorry, you can't be on the pretty blog. That is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I think we actually made a lot of enemies in the industry. Hopefully by now they've forgiven us. But it's a very hard thing to build a business that you've got a certain standard, and not all the people level up to that. And we just decided we're not going to drop the standard. We want to build something that everyone in this industry will talk about. And so that, I think, is actually one of the best decisions we did up until date. With that, we also realized that content is king. The pretty blog could not have the brand or the name that it has today if our content wasn't as good as it is today. We also realized, and this is a tip for all of you guys that are starting businesses, that you need to be relevant by doing interesting things that people want to share, like, and comment on. Someone once asked me about marketing and asked me, how do you create something and how do you market it to people? And I said to them, I really believe that it's not just about pushing a message out there about we're so great, we're so good, because that's what a lot of companies do. They just put a lot of billboards and ads out there to say how great they are. The problem is if the people on the floor people in the public don't feel that it's great, it's never going to be great in their eyes. So we wanted to create something that all the thousands of people out there would talk about, not just 1 or 2 big brands. And I think in some way we've gotten that right. So fast forward 3 years, this was last year May, end of May. We realized that our strategy paid off. We had mass popularity. A lot of brands were starting to give us exposure. All of these guys spoke about us or wrote an article about us. And by the way, it was not because we contacted them. They really came to us. We do a lot of things with Sorry, with Fair Lady. We've also been on Pasella and Top Billing and Espresso shows. And then we realized this strategy is paying off. We also won some awards, which we're very proud about. But at that stage, we asked ourselves, now what? Now we've got traction, people are looking at the Pretty blog, we've got thousands of people commenting things on Facebook. We actually have to employ people now to answer those questions. And what do? We have to look at like how are we going to take this traction, monetize it, but also how can we make it sustainable? Because a lot of companies look at this and they go, wow, we've got 1,000 Twitter followers, how do we monetize it? Okay, we sign up for some program where we now can, just push advertising to our readers. But before you know it, all of them left because now they know you're just pushing advertising to them. So we wanted to build something that's sustainable. We also realized we had to manage a team now because we've grown so much. We had to employ some people, which is a total different ball game, by the way. For those of you who have never managed people, that is very interesting. We had to build systems. It wasn't just about Nicola phoning me and saying, oh, I found this great wedding, can we blog it? Oh yes, blog it. And then she blogs it. Now there was like 3-5 people in the process. Social media needed to know about it before it goes live. Someone has to check it, etc., etc. And also we had to get business processes in place. So all of this passion and great idea actually now turned into a business. At the same time, we were also testing content because up until this stage, we were very heavily focused on weddings. But as I mentioned previously, we didn't want to just stick to weddings. So we were showing content and images like these. We were photographing friends and people who contacted us homes, showing them what the people did to their new little space. We were also testing a lot of recipes with Nicola's background. We put a little team together and Nicola did the styling. The Food Fox, I don't know if any of you guys know about her. She's got a little business in Stellenbosch. She does all the food for us, and then a friend of mine, Natasha, she does the photography. And so we would put out new recipes on the Pretty blog every week. We also did some photographs of markets, showcasing like where to go on weekends, etc. And very soon we realized that the Pretty blog was not really just about weddings, but it was about a pretty lifestyle. It was about these girls getting married, immersing themselves into all this prettiness and flowers and decor, and before they knew it, they were married, and then they wanted to stick into that like pretty lifestyle. They didn't want to leave it because now they had this opportunity to create their perfect day, and in some way they wanted to bring that home. They wanted to have like some beautiful things in the house, or they wanted to make a nice dinner for their friends. So we realized that the engaged girl was not really our target market, even though we were still doing a lot of things for her. But it was the girl who wanted a pretty lifestyle, which made us ask a lot of hard questions and made us sit in lots and lots of meetings. Because guys, if you put all this content out there, you make a lot of assumptions and you just assume that this is what people are going to like. And you have to do a lot of tests, and that's why we tested all of this other content. We realized that at that stage we were still a very standard blog, the typical blog with the side banner ads. But it became very tricky because we didn't really see ourselves as a blog, and our name said the Pretty blog. We saw ourselves more as a magazine, as a platform that produces content in an editorial way, not necessarily writing about our cat. Okay, so it was really kind of put us in a difficult place, and in our opinion at that stage, even like looking at America, looking at the American media models and where blogs are going and how people were producing content and sharing it with other people, we realized, or we thought, that very few magazines have actually cracked this whole new space, and how is it going to influence print and where is this going, etc. So we were really asking a lot of questions, looking at other sites. So we decided to get the whole team together. This is our living room, by the way, and we decided to rethink the Pretty blog. We started with a redesign. This was about May last year. We wanted to rebuild the site with a new elaborate design. We wanted to move away from the typical blog kind of layout. We wanted to include new categories that would support all of this new content that we were sharing. And soon we realized that our images were too small. We had about 2,000 blog posts on the Pretty blog at that stage. and we realized that all the pictures were about 600 pixels wide, and the new site requested, I think, 1,100 pixels wide, which put us in a bit of a sticky situation. Because now we wanted to do a new site, new layout, but we didn't want people to go to the old content and then it looks bad. Which put us in a situation of bringing more computers and lots of more cables to the table and lots of Excel spreadsheets. So we went through 2,000 blog posts, we copied and pasted each title, each photographer that provided the image. I can see my team smiling because they know exactly what I'm talking about. And they put all of that in Excel spreadsheets. Each one had a column that they had to sort out. And we literally manually contacted each and every photographer that provided 2,000 blog posts for us in the past 3 years. We asked them to send the images on discs because we wouldn't be able to download all those images. And we started recategorizing everything, re-uploading every single image. It was absolute chaos. This is what my house looked like for 2 months. I think we all gained about 3-4 kilos that month. We had the most horrific food provided for us from a place like, what is this that they give at the course? I say, what is my course? No, but that's typical. You know lasagna that's that big? They delivered it every day for us because there was no time to make food. And soon we realized we don't have enough hands, so we extended the table. We took away the lounge in the back. That was Nicola's camp table that she had at home. And we got some very, very awesome students from Stellenbosch that came and actually sat there with us for a month to just upload these blog posts. And very soon it was a very unpretty situation. I still think our neighbors think we were going to bomb the place because there was cables everywhere. But don't fear, if the pretty blog's near, we make it pretty. So Ian and I went down and we bought ice cream buckets to put a cabling thing in there because we couldn't handle all the cables on the table. We had a lot of late nights. It's a development team. Lots of line of code. Lots of beers that helped us through the situation. And eventually, I think it was the 7th of August, that morning, it was the morning of launch. And so, I want to show you guys, this is a little video we made for the launch morning to just show people what the Pretty Blog was going to be about.
We constantly have people asking us different questions about weddings, recipes, venues.
They're looking for polka dot serviettes and they can't find it.
Where can I buy striped socks for my husband for the wedding? And we have girls that are just answering those questions because we believe in the personal aspect.
You almost feel like you make a new friend.
We meet the most wonderful people in the industry and working together on the shoots with wonderful service providers.
You're basically very easily inspired by the small things because there are so many ideas out there and you just have to have your eyes open.
The Pretty Blog often shows you unique and creative ways to stand out and kind of let your personality shine through.
Brides go from weddings and they get so excited about this beautiful party and all their friends, but then after the wedding they're gonna have kids. They might start traveling a bit or make a herb garden, start gardening, all of those things, and it's part of a pretty lifestyle that we really want to encourage.
The older version of the Pretty Blog, we ran into this problem where we were really growing beyond the limits of what we could accommodate.
Some things work and some things don't, but that's the exciting part about business and also being in the creative industry, is that we've got new ideas all the time and we can test it with real people.
There was always this conflict between the great ideas we have and on the other side knowing that we need to make this work. With the new site, we're changing the mold and we want the content to be showcased in the best way possible.
So the Pretty Blog has always been something very personal to all of us, but we want to make it even more personal for the readers.
We want the users to be pulled into the site. We want them to be involved with the Pretty Blog. We want to make this pretty lifestyle part of their lifestyle.
So the readers can go and they can create their own profile. We've called it My Pretty Things. And they can now personalize the Pretty Blog according to what they like to see.
Now we've got like a whole bunch of added features, like you can save your favorite articles. We recap you on articles that you haven't read. We recommend articles to you that you might like.
So for everyone, the Pretty Blog will basically look different.
Well, the new site will be 10 times bigger and a lot more interactive. So there will be lots of content.
But I'm really excited about it. I like the clean look. I like the functionality.
And there's amazing people that have helped us to create beautiful content. And those are stationers, cake makers, makeup artists, photographers. We definitely owe them a massive thank you because we value beautiful content and high quality content, and without them, you know, we could never be where we are.
Working with a pretty blog from the outset has always been great. We look for people who we believe are passionate about what they do, and they are fun, dynamic, always up for any crazy harebrained ideas we have about collaboration.
The blog is honest. It's their honest interest, it's their honest passion, and it comes across in the way they write and also the content they choose. And the pretty blog, I think, like poetry, is also a bit of an escapism. You know, you're on your computer and you want to see the next big thing or the next news or just beautiful pictures or beautiful ideas or DIY.
I just feel they've done so well to just inspire, but not only just weddings, they do lifestyle homes, as well as doing things that people can just, like the printables and the DIYs, people can just print at home and make their own pretty things. I think it's just a lifestyle of seeing beautiful things around you and supporting that and supporting young people who are creating these pretty things.
We're growing rapidly, and I think this is actually just the start for the pretty blog.
When I look at that map on Google Analytics, when you see there was like 10 people from the smallest little country on the blog today, that really excites me because I might never go to that country, but I can make something that inspires people from that country. So that for me is very inspiring.
Guys, so this is basically what the pretty blog looks like today, as you guys know it. We really wanted to encourage and inspire people to live a pretty lifestyle, but also, as I said, create a platform where we can encourage entrepreneurs. Up to date, we've received 2.8 million visitors to the pretty blog over the past 4 years. Our currently monthly stats are about 120,000 uniques and 350,000 page views. If you guys don't know anything about stats, this is more than most of the small niche magazines out there, like Elle, House and Leisure, those kind of guys. The Facebook has just grown tremendously. We've got about 60,800. Pinterest, we're in the top 10 of South Africa. And Twitter, we're hitting almost 10,000, so tell all your friends about it. What we believe is, we're not there yet. We believe that the pretty blog started as a dream and that the story is still being told. It's still being written and we don't really know exactly where it will go. I stand here today, not that I have all the answers, but I do know that we are still figuring it out and we're asking a lot of questions about tech, about the media world, about where magazines are going, whether blogs are sustainable or not, and whether people will move back to magazines or not. You know, no one has figured it out yet, but for us that's a very exciting space. And as I created this presentation, I was searching for old screenshots of the pretty blog to show you guys, and I came across this blog post that I wrote on what was that date? The 12th of July 2010, and this was when the pretty blog was 5 days old. And I just want to read it to you. I'm a big believer and supporter of dreams, businesses and crazy ideas. I just love them. But then on the other hand, the most exciting part comes when they become a reality. Yesterday, I saw a great quote. I read it somewhere on Facebook or on the internet. Sorry, I can't remember where it was. Don't tell me the sky's the limit. There's footprints on the moon. And then it really made me think. When I saw this quote, I thought of two things. Don't be limited by other people's thinking, and then you have to do something to prove that it's possible. Believing is key, but it doesn't make that dream happen. You have to put in lots of hard work, research, and figure out how to make your dreams come true. I think one of the flaws of the general perception of dreams are that they fall out of the sky and then with a little bit of magic they mysteriously happen. The way I see it, dreams are there to encourage us to get our bums off the couch and make things happen. With my journey as a photographer, it's been very blessed, and which makes the road a little easier. But the fact of the matter is that things are not going to happen by themselves. And that's how I feel about the pretty blog. The pretty blog's been a dream for the past 2 years. Since I started my photography business, I realized that there was a big need for online bridal inspiration in South Africa. A place that shared ideas and great quality visuals with brides. A place that made them feel at home, almost like an online coffee shop, where you could take a break from the hectic demands of your job and just go through a few pages with some beautiful pictures and a cup of coffee. Nicola and I talked about this idea for months, and little by little it came together. The last week, we were very proud mothers of a little blog called The Pretty Blog. one thing that gets me and Nicola most excited is the fact that there are so many new businesses and ideas starting every day. And then with the Pretty Blog, we want to encourage new businesses to strive for excellence, be creative, be innovative, and be awesome. We are very excited to share with you that we've already had 8,065 page views in the past 5 days. These hits came from South Africa, the UK, US, Canada, Australia, Germany, Indonesia, the Netherlands, Argentina, Norway, Australia, France, and even Portugal. We believe that this is not the end of our journey and that we go through a lot of tough times. And today I stand here knowing that the Pretty Blog is actually going to be recreated again, which is another thing to cry about, and the whole team can cry with me. Because yesterday I read this quote. It was a student who asked Einstein, aren't these the same questions as last year's exam? And he said yes, but this year the answers are different. And that is exactly where we are. The Pretty Blog still wants to inspire, we still want to give beautiful content, we still want to uplift small businesses, but the answers of 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013 and even 2014 are very, very different. And we want to create something that will last tomorrow and the day after, but every day, as this changing environment and the internet, we have to ask ourselves, is this really the right thing we're doing, and how should we take it further? And the team is really sitting at the moment redesigning the Pretty Blog once again. And we will be probably launching the new Pretty Blog in the next 3 months. So keep an eye out on this website, it will change once again. Yeah, guys, so that's my story, and in a few years' time, hopefully I can add on to that story. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.